Keys said, and I'll leave the Minister with that. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms Mardell. It's a great pleasure to serve under your chairmanship this morning. Can I start by thanking the Honourable Member for Ellesmere Port and congratulating him for bringing this debate, and my Honourable friend, the Member for Redcar, for making the same and very powerful points. We are on the cusp of an exciting opportunity for the hydrogen economy, and this pilot is about making sure we get the infrastructure right to roll it out across the country. Perhaps, if I may, I'd just start by framing our hydrogen commitments within the broader context of clean energy and then deal with the specific points that have been made. First point to make, I'm responding today, Ms Bardell, on behalf of the Minister for Energy, but as the Minister for Science, Research and Innovation. And we see the hydrogen revolution in both heating of homes, in the powering of vehicles, particularly the heavier vehicles, heavier goods vehicles, trains and planes, as a fundamental part of our clean energy revolution. And that's why, as Minister for our Science, Research and Innovation budget, we're supporting that net zero transition and innovation very strongly. This is part of, and I say that as former Minister of State at the Department of Transport, where we, in addition to the electric vehicle revolution, have now stepped up fast to support hydrogen rollout in the transport sector. This is all part of our Green Industrial Revolution plan, the 10-point plan set out by the Prime Minister, and the key commitment, which is to double our ambition of low-carbon hydrogen production to 10 gigawatts by 2030. Further work is, of course, required to understand exactly the feasibility, the costs and the convenience of transporting 100% hydrogen in the gas grid and using hydrogen for heating and cooking. And that's what this trial is about. We want as quickly as possible to establish the cost, logistics, practical issues that we can then deal with in a wider rollout. We're working closely with industry, regulators and other stakeholders to deliver a range of research, development and testing projects. I was very pleased last year to see that the HyNet Northwest in North West England and North Wales, which I know the Honourable Member has long been a champion of, was selected to progress within track 1 of the Industrial Decarbonisation Cluster sequencing process, which puts the region right at the forefront of the industrial super places we're supporting in this revolution. And in the government's 10-point plan for a green industrial revolution, we set out the goal of supporting industry to deliver a neighbourhood trial by 2023, next year, a village-scale trial by 25, and a potential hydrogen-heated town before the end of the decade. Fundamental to our approach is the development of hydrogen hubs as centres of expertise that drive forward and accelerate the adoption of hydrogen as an energy source. The plans for a hydrogen neighbourhood trial are already underway, as colleagues know. This neighbourhood trial in Fife will supply hydrogen to around 300 homes, with hydrogen distributed through pipes laid parallel to the existing gas network. Trialling hydrogen for heat on a large village scale will be, Ms Bardell, the first of its kind globally. This is a very groundbreaking project. It's an exciting time for the hydrogen village trial. Ofgem recently published its decision to take forward 2 proposals for the trial to the next stage of development. And as my honourable friends will and colleagues will know, Whitby in the Ellesmere Port area was one of the potential locations alongside Redcar. The village trial will be led by the gas distribution network and will convert 1,000 to 2,000 properties to hydrogen instead of natural gas. Unlike the neighbourhood trial, it will involve the complete conversion of existing gas network infrastructure in the local area, repurposing it 100% for hydrogen. We believe that these hydrogen heating trials will help to encourage local employment opportunities and investment, the culture change that's required, which both members have spoken to, and represent another opportunity for us to build back better with investment in green jobs and new technologies, whilst at the same time reducing the costs for consumers of energy. And I understand the Honourable Member opposite is already closely engaged with the proposal in his constituency, which is all to the good and hugely welcome. It's important that we support proposals at this stage because they have the potential to both generate diverse quality evidence that we need and drive that cultural change. Ofgem and BEIS will assess final proposals for the networks in spring 23 and make a decision on where the trial will be located. And without prejudice to my ministerial colleagues' decisions next year, I think the points you've made, both colleagues have made today about scale, are well made on the record, and I will obviously pass that point on. We're working closely with Cadent and NGN, the gas distribution network operators responsible for the shortlisted projects, to develop their detailed plans for the trial. And strong community engagement is absolutely key, and I hugely welcome the comments the honourable gentleman opposite made in that regard. The gas distribution network operators are working with local consumers to encourage as many people as possible to participate in the trial. And it's important for me to say nobody will be forced to use hydrogen and nobody will be required to pay extra. And I think those two messages will help to drive public adoption. I wanted us to touch on consumer protection because it is absolutely key. Our first duty must be to the safety of consumers, and so before any community trial can go ahead, the Health and Safety Executive will need to be obviously satisfied that it's safe. And as with natural gas, measures will be needed to ensure that hydrogen is stored, distributed and used safely. As part of our world-leading research into hydrogen, we've already gathered evidence on the safety of using hydrogen in homes. The BEIS-funded Hive for Heat programme has shown that the use of 100% hydrogen can be safe, made as safe as natural gas when used for heating and cooking in the types of houses that were studied. But research is one thing, practical rollout in the real world is the key, and that's why this pilot is so important. But I wanted to reassure honourable friends here and those listening that we are 100% committed to safety, and we want to make sure that protecting the rights and interests of consumers is at the heart of this trial. This is the first of its kind in the UK, and we've therefore committed to a framework of additional consumer protections, which we set out in our consultation last year, including transparency of information, fair treatment and quality of service. And those protections, we hope, will enhance the existing protections in the energy and consumer legislation, which already apply to consumers and will apply for the trial. And we're absolutely clear that nobody taking part in this trial, Ms. Bardell, will be required to pay anything extra. I wanted just to turn, in the minutes I've got left, to the specific questions that have been asked. With regard to multiple hydrogen trials, I think you can see, colleagues can see the logic of our next step, which is the village and the neighbourhood trials. The combination of those, alongside the wider programme of research and testing that we're running, is designed to provide the government with the necessary evidence to take big strategic decisions on heating within a matter of 2 or 3 years. And I know the ambition that colleagues have shared today to go further, faster, is shared by both Secretary of State and the Minister and the Prime Minister. So it's not lack of political will that's holding us back. We simply need to make sure that we've got the practical realities of rollout, conversion of the gas network clear. Colleagues have raised the issue of blue versus green hydrogen. I just want to make clear that our hydrogen strategy sets out the government's twin-track approach to supporting both electrolytic green and carbon capture-enabled blue hydrogen production. We see blue and green hydrogen as complementary, not in any way an either-or choice. And our new UK standard for low-carbon hydrogen production will ensure the technologies we support, green, blue, and other potential production routes, make a real contribution to our decarbonisation goals. On the question of blending, are we on track to make a decision on blending in 23? Yes. We're exploring whether to enable blending of up to 20% hydrogen by volume into GB gas networks, and on track to make that policy decision in 23 next year, subject to the outcomes from ongoing economic and safety assessments and wider strategic considerations about the energy market. And if the decision to proceed with blending is positive, we'll then look to start the legislative and regulatory process to enable blending, as well as the process to make any physical changes to gas networks that are required. Given the timelines on that work, at the moment, officials don't anticipate blending at a commercial scale to commence before 2025. On the question of publishing the hydrogen-ready boiler consultation, we're looking to publish this fast, as soon as possible, in due course, I think is the official phrase. I can't speak for my ministerial colleague, but I know it's very high in his intro. The consultation will consider the case for requiring newly installed domestic-scale gas boilers to be hydrogen-ready, which would be clearly a step change. The consultation will also include proposals to improve in-home boiler performance, building on the existing boiler efficiency standards in England, Boiler Plus. On the question of what consideration we've given to the commitments from manufacturers to make hydrogen-ready boilers in the UK and sell them at the same cost, we absolutely welcome the commitment to maintain gas boiler prices at current levels in the case of widespread rollout of hydrogen-ready boilers, and we look forward to working with manufacturers to ensure that that is possible at scale, because it is fundamental to adoption. The question of the trade unions' debate about whether it's possible or not to achieve large-scale workforce shift from boilers to heat pumps, we absolutely think it's possible, and I'm very grateful to hear the honourable member opposite today with his strong union background, making clear that his unions are supportive of that. And it's really important that we send a signal. This is not a massive challenge. It's an upskilling, and it's part of the upskilling of our broader workforce and economy. And existing heating engineers can train reasonably simply to install heat pumps in 1 week or less. And thousands of new heating engineers have already seized the opportunity to learn from those skills. So as I close, Ms Bardell, could I reiterate my thanks to the Honourable Member for Ellesmere Port and the Honourable Member for Redcar for raising these issues today, and I hope they can see how committed we are as a government to make sure we protect consumers, we get the practical logistics right. I know they would be the first people on their feet if we rushed into something that hadn't been properly thought through, but we do want to make sure that these trials lay the foundation for wider nationwide rollout. The aim isn't to have 1 or 2 world-class trials. The aim is to prove what it is we need to do to roll out hydrogen at industrial scale across this country as part of our net zero targets. And as outlined in our consultation last year, we are including legislative measures to facilitate these trials in the landmark Energy Security Bill. And I very much look forward to working with colleagues here and the Energy Minister, more importantly, looks forward to working with colleagues across the House as the bill goes through Parliament. This is an exciting time, not just for the UK hydrogen economy, but for those communities that are in the vanguard, and we are very keen to make sure that that public support continues to grow.
The question is that this House has considered the potential for a hydrogen village. As many as are of that opinion say aye. On the contrary, no.